Curses and revenge bring no real joy. While Dorothy's curse on Sandra brought her temporary satisfaction, true peace only came when she built a new happy life for herself. Holding on to revenge or hatred only prolongs pain for both parties. Sandra was the kind of woman who made heads stand wherever she went. With her long flowing hair, big brown eyes, a tiny waist, and a body that made everyone stare. She was considered the most beautiful woman in her town. Every man who saw her could not resist her charm. But it wasn't just about her beauty that got people's attention. It was the way she used it. Sandra had a habit of going after married men. She didn't care if the man had wives or children. All she wanted was their attention and money. She would laugh at the wives who cried about her destroying their homes. She knew the husbands would spend all their time and money on her, leaving their wives with nothing. One of those wives was Dorothy, a gentle and kind woman who had been married for years. She was expecting a baby, but her husband, like many others, had fallen under Sandra's spell. He stopped coming home, stopped caring for Dorothy, and spent every penny he had on Sandra. Dorothy begged and pleaded with her husband, but he refused to listen. One morning, Dorothy felt sharp pain in her belly. She was in labor, and the baby was coming. She called her husband, hoping he would rush to take her to the hospital, but her husband was with Sandra, enjoying a nice time. Dorothy knew she couldn't wait for him any longer, so she struggled on her own to get to the hospital. When Dorothy arrived at the hospital, it was too late. She had lost her baby. The doctors did their best to save her life, but Dorothy was left heartbroken, crushed by the loss of her child. For days she cried bitterly, not just for the baby she had lost, but also for the betrayal of her husband who had abandoned her for Sandra. Dorothy vowed that Sandra would pay for everything. She couldn't let this go. One day, Dorothy packed her things and left her husband's house. She didn't say goodbye. She was done with him, but she wasn't done with Sandra. After Dorothy left, Sandra wasted no time. She moved in with Dorothy's husband. She thought she had won, but that was the beginning of her nightmare. One early morning, just a few weeks after moving in, Sandra ran out of the house, screaming and shouting. She was naked, her hair wild, and her eyes looking rage. She ran through the streets, yelling words that made no sense. People were shocked. Has Sandra gone mad? They whispered. Sandra's family rushed to help her. They took her to every doctor they could find, but no one knew what was wrong with her. The madness continued, and no medicine seemed to work. Her beauty was gone. She looked like a shadow of herself, dirty and wild. People pitied her, but no one dared to help her. Her mother, desperate for answers, went to a shrine to ask why Sandra had gone mad so suddenly. The priest revealed the terrible truth. Dorothy had laid a curse on Sandra. The curse was tied to the loss of Dorothy's baby. As long as Dorothy was alive, Sandra would never get better. No man would ever love her again, and she would never hear the cry of a child in her home. The curse could only be broken if Sandra changed her ways and asked for forgiveness. The women of the town, who had once cursed Sandra for breaking their homes, now felt sorry for her. They knew Sandra had done wrong, but seeing her suffer like this was heartbreaking. They decided to search for Dorothy and beg her to forgive Sandra. But Dorothy was nowhere to be found. After leaving her husband, she had disappeared from the town. Some said she remarried and moved far away. No one knew where she was, and without her, the curse could not be lifted. Days turned into weeks, and Sandra's madness grew worse. She wandered the streets, filthy and lost. No man even looked her way anymore. She had become invisible, like a dirty pig, just as the curse had said. People pitied her, but there was nothing they could do. In the end, Sandra's suffering was too much. She died, still under the curse, with no one able to save her. Her beauty, which had once caused so much pain, was now just a memory. As for Dorothy, she had indeed remarried. She found a kind man who loved her deeply, and they had 2 beautiful daughters together. Dorothy moved away and built a new life, leaving behind the pain and heartbreak of her past. Her husband, Dorothy, became miserable. He lost everything. His businesses crumbled. He continued looking for Dorothy to ask forgiveness, but there was no way he could find Dorothy. Sandra's story became a lesson in town. People spoke about how beauty and charm could destroy lives if used wrongly, and they remembered Dorothy's strength in moving on, finding happiness despite the pain she had endured. In the end, love, forgiveness, and change were the only thing that could bring peace. But for Sandra, it had come too late. Here are some moral lessons for the story. Number 1. Beauty should not be misused. Sandra's physical beauty brought her admiration, but she used it to hurt others. In the end, it led to her downfall. The story teaches us that beauty is a gift, but when misused, it can bring pain and destructions. Actions have consequences. Sandra's actions of breaking homes and causing pain led to severe consequences. She lost everything, including her mind. This shows that bad actions, no matter how good life may seem at the moment, will eventually catch up with us. Forgiveness is powerful. Dorothy was deeply hurt, but in the end, only forgiveness could have saved Sandra. The story teaches that holding on to anger and grudges can affect others, but offering forgiveness can bring healing and peace. True happiness comes from love and respect. While Sandra sought happiness through material things and attention, Dorothy found true happiness by moving on from her past and starting a new life built in love and respect. Faithfulness and loyalty matters. The story highlights the importance of being faithful in relationships. Betraying someone's trust, as Dorothy's husband did, can lead to heartbreak and suffering for everyone involved. Life is about change and growth. Dorothy's ability to move on and find a better life after her loss shows that we can heal and grow from difficult situations. Staying stuck in pain and bitterness only prevents us from finding peace. And finally, curses and revenge bring no real joy. When Dorothy's curse on Sandra brought a temporary satisfaction, true peace only came when she built a new, happy life for herself. Holding on to revenge or hatred only prolongs pain for both parties. Hello besties, I hope you enjoyed this beautiful story. Kindly like, subscribe, share these amazing stories so that others can benefit from this story. If you were to be in Dorothy's shoes, what would you have done? Would you have laid curse on Sandra? Kindly tell us your own point of view in the comment section. See you, sit tight while you wait for another mind-blowing story by African Tales by Somi. I love you all.